I still think that it's a shame what's been going on in Ontario for MMA. I think it's disgusting. I put my show on at Caesars Windsor, had 6,000 people in that venue, unbelievable show. And it's funny because other shows have came and just kind of destroyed it. And I don't know if it's just the show's fault, but it's the commissions that. And you know what? The commission was great to deal with. They really were. Ken Hayashi was excellent. The whole cast that he has was excellent. It's the regulations of the actual commission that is the problem. Mm-hmm. Ken Hayashi is not the one that does that. It's the government of the Ontario provincial government does that, and the fees that they put out, the way they structure things is just destined for demise.
Well, we've talked about this before, but it really seems like it's a similar situation to what happened a couple of years ago in Vancouver. I had you on the old Vancouver show as well.
But Carl, it's happening again in Vancouver. Yeah. They just re-sanctioned it. No one applied for a license. I mean, it's crazy. It's like they set up a license so that people wouldn't get one.
Yeah, they want the UFC in town, and they want those big dollars, and they don't really care about the sport. To them, it's like Ringling Brothers comes to town or something like that.
And that's ironic because that's exactly how people are perceiving it now. And at the same time as we're not a small show, we're a middle show. Mm-hmm. And we're the only real middle show in the world. You have the UFC that's here, and then Bellator and us, we're in the middle, and then you have all the smaller shows. But it's funny, you don't see Bellator coming back to Ontario either.
No.
Why is that, right? I mean, these fees are like astronomical the way they structured it. And tell me this too, Carlin, because now since I'm in Toronto, I've been bringing this up every interview, and it's driving me nuts. Why would the Maximum Fighting Championship, the people who basically started this sport in Canada, have to be in a cage when our whole entire career, our show has been in a ring, a 30-foot ring. But then when we come to Ontario, they made us be in a cage. Who told them that we have to be in a cage?
Well, clearly the rules, the regulations are drawn up by people who A, don't understand the sport, and B, were all those adages were rubber stamped because Tom Wright wanted it that way.
But how is that? And it's interesting that you said Tom Wright, because that's my assessment too. And not just Tom Wright, but Mark Ratner got involved with the UFC. And how is that when Mark Ratner's an employee of the UFC telling the provincial government what kind of apparatus we should be fighting in when he's an employee of the UFC? It's ridiculous. We're the Maximum Fighting Championship. We're the number one MMA organization in this country, and we have to be in a cage when it's like telling the people that invented snowboarding you have to wear skis. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just the most insane thing I've ever heard. If I come back to Ontario, they're going to have to change it. I compromised the first time for the love of the sport. Mm-hmm. The second time, I will not compromise. We have to be in a ring. That's what my brand of MMA does. We've always been in a ring, 5-roped, 30-foot circular ring with the apron on the outside. We had it constructed by Throwdown Industries in Las Vegas. And I want to be in a ring. The Maximum Fighting Champions is in a ring, and the Ontario government didn't allow that, and I don't understand it. I don't get it.
No, because Tom Wright and Mark Ratner, and this is nothing against either gentleman. I have a good relationship with both those gentlemen, but clearly they were writing the rules of getting UFC approved. UFC specifically, the brand, not the sport of mixed martial arts.
Do you understand? Like even saying that, like how crazy that is. Like first of all, what Tom Wright knows about MMA is how much I know about CFL football. Okay. Let me give you an example about that. Like, if you understand that if you sat him across the table from me right now, how ridiculous it would be if he was sitting in the same room with me talking about mixed martial arts. When I hear him talk about mixed martial arts, I have this feeling of like I'm going to throw up because that's how little he actually knows. It's comical. I bet you they haven't even showed him where the washroom yet is in the UFC office. And I'm just being honest with you because he doesn't know about my sport. He knows nothing about it. Even when he talks about it, it looks comical the way he talks. It's like, it's unbelievable. Listen, it doesn't matter if Dana White and I like each other. He knows about mixed martial arts. He's very intelligent. He's very knowledgeable about that. Mark Ratner, he's a regulator. He was with the ABC. He was with, the boxing commissions. He knows about boxing. He still knows very little about mixed martial arts on the grand scheme of things, right? Mark's a good guy, but you cannot give him that kind of latitude with governments when he's an employee of the UFC. It's a mass conflict of interest.
So if you were going to bring the ring interview here, the ring into Ontario, how would that happen? How would you have to petition Ken Hayashi? How would that work?
Petition anybody. Petition me. They should petition me. They're going to be desperate soon because there's only going to be one show a year in Ontario. I'll come back to Ontario. I'm from Ontario. But don't it's crazy. Just you're going to regulate to me what apparatus I'm going to fight in when I basically started and kept this sport alive in Canada. It's just it's just mind-boggling to me, and I'm not gonna compromise anymore. I don't care. I'll sit where I sit as long as I sit. You tell me how many shows you have next year and the year after, and when Ontario government understands that our family is basically the forefront runners in this industry in this country, and you want to see multiple shows, you want to see a show in Ottawa, you want to see shows in downtown Toronto, you want to see shows in Kingston, Ontario, you want to see shows in Peterborough, Ontario. These are all cool places that I know very well. And why aren't we doing shows? Why haven't the people in Windsor, Ontario seen another show? Why haven't people in Peterborough and Sault Ste. Marie and they've never seen MMA still? I mean, it's mind-boggling to me, and it has to be resolved. It has to be fixed, and we're probably the family that can fix it. But you have to open the gates for us. You have to make the fees at least digestible, like rest of the commissions, like in Quebec or in Alberta. You have to do that, or we're not going to return.